All right, looks like we're live. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar. I can see people are still filtering into the room here, so we'll just give it another moment before we dive into the agenda for today. While we wait, Simon, let's start with something that has absolutely nothing to do with PIM. Are you enjoying the World Cup? Have you managed to catch any of the games over the last couple of days here?
I've seen a few, but not as much as I'd like to. I think staying up late is a bit problematic when I have to go to work as well.
And you do have a PIM system that you need to work on. So
exactly that.
Yeah. And speaking of football, I know you've got a favorite team in the Premier League, and I think we might even spot one of the jerseys later on during the demo.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
You might.
How are you feeling about the way that their last few tournaments have gone? And remember, I'm a Max Verstappen fan, so I know what it's like to win big and come up short, which feels about right for where your team is these days.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big Arsenal fan, and this was the first time in 22 years that the Arsenal won the Premier League. So it's been kind of mixed emotions because winning the Premier League, going to the Champions League final, and then going all the way to the penalties and then losing there. So it's been a bit of a mixed emotions here, I have to say.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. All right, looks like everyone is beginning to join the room now here. So once again, everyone, welcome to today's webinar from PIM to Product Intelligence Platform. My name is Poulsen. I'm a senior sales engineer here at Struct, and I'm of course joined today by my good colleague Simon.
Yep. My name is Simon. Some of you may know me already. I'm the CTO here at Struct, so I have the overall responsibility for the platform and the development of the new things that we built in here.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about some new functionality in Struct PIM. We're going to talk about new AI capabilities that are coming very soon and where the road is heading for Struct PIM in the upcoming months. Before we get into the agenda itself, just a few quick housekeeping points. Don't worry about taking notes, trying to catch everything. A recording of the session today will be sent out afterwards, and we'll send out the slides as well. And throughout the webinar, feel free to drop any questions into the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on them and try to answer them as we go. And of course, also feel free to say hi in the chat as well. And one last reminder, Struct PIM 3 reaches end of life in late December of this year. So if you're not already on Struct PIM 4, or if you don't have a migration planned, we would encourage you to reach out to us so that we can get that mapped out. That way you can start enjoying everything Struct PIM 4 has to offer as soon as possible. But we won't dwell too much on Struct PIM 3 today. That's in the past. Today is all about Struct PIM 4 and where we're taking it. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. First, we'll take a look at the general direction of Struct PIM. Where is the platform heading? Why is it moving that way? Then we'll look at some of the new functionality we've released over the last few months. And after that, we'll cover the new AI capabilities and features that are arriving very soon, as in before the summer. And finally, we'll talk about the road ahead, what's coming later in this year. So let's start with the new direction here. So Struct PIM has always been the place to work effectively with product data. Powerful tools at your fingertips, full control of your data governance, and so on. And that's not going to change. But what we're seeing is that product data is being used more and more widely across organizations. There's increased demands from consumers, new business opportunities, a growing volume and laws of regulations that to keep up with, and of course, new languages and markets and so on that companies want to move into. Those needs are the same as they've always been. But of course, there's something new happening right now. And to no one's surprise, that's AI. It's becoming more and more prevalent, not just inside of the PIM system, but also across every company, every business, and the world in general. So that kind of changes what a PIM has to do. A PIM still has to store all your data, just as it always has. But all of this new AI capability also needs to consume data. And AI is only as good as the data that you feed into it. So we need to give easy access for the AI to do that. At the same time, AI tools increases the things you can do inside the PIM. And with new tools at your disposal, the PIM starts to take a more active role in the enrichment of your data and then the decisions you make around that data. So in short, the direction of Struct PIM is moving from managing your product data to powering the product decisions and actions that you take around it. So Today, we're introducing a new direction for Struct PIM. We're moving towards a product intelligence platform. And don't worry, we're not going to be renaming the PIM system into something else. But what this simply means is that we now have a much deeper integration of AI into the platform itself. We're keeping the tools that you already know and love, the enrichment, data extraction, translation, and so on, but they're now becoming native parts of the platform. In Struct PIM 4, it's no longer an add-on. They're available to your license as soon as you have a license, and you'll simply pay as you go. And we'll talk more about that shortly. It also means that we've added the ability to extend the platform with apps through our new App Store. So that lets you extend the platform. You don't have to wait for a product release from us. So if there's something we don't do out of the box, you can now add that yourself and make the PIM truly your own. It also unlocks better data analysis. These new AI tools make it far easier to spot gaps and inconsistencies in your data and to identify opportunities. For example, a product that's selling better than you expected. So that kind of insight helps you decide which products to push and which ones don't need as much attention. And of course, all of this needs to be automated, and we'll handle that through the business rules system that's already in place in Struct PIM. So we're tying all these AI tools, apps and agents and so on together into flows that you configure and govern. And that's really the key point here. All of this happens within the governance of the PIM owner. You set the limits, you review what the AI and the workflows do, and you stay in full control of the data inside of your PIM system. Over the last 3 months, we've released quite a lot. As many of you know, we ship releases every week, and the platform team has done a really great job at packing new functionality into these releases. So let's run through some of these highlights. First off, the App Store. As I mentioned, we recently launched the App Store where clients and partners can build their own apps. There's a selection of ready-made public apps. You can build private apps. For example, a partner can create an app that they can use across their clients. And you can, of course, also build fully custom apps unique to a single PIM instance. And that's really a great way to extend the PIM beyond what we offer out of the box. We've also introduced an inline grid edit search. The search view in general has had a broader update. You can now see far more data on the screen. You can scroll horizontally, you can scroll vertically, and most importantly, you can edit directly within the search. So many of those small day-to-day tasks can now be done straight from the search without opening each product individually. We've also added global search. So right from the start page, you can search across the entire platform, products, categories, variations, global list settings, and more. So whatever you need to reach inside of your PIM system, you can get it from the global search. Along with the App Store, we've released 2 new apps. First, the ETIM connector. So if you work with the ETIM standard, you can now pull ETIM classifications and product data straight into Struct PIM. And second, our Shopify app, which was previously built in, is now rebuilt as an app. So you can easily sync your product data from Struct PIM to Shopify. We've introduced data extraction using existing resources such as websites, PDF files, datasheets, and so on. You can now extract data and automatically populate or enrich your product with information from the outside world, and of course, all under your governance. And finally, some media archive updates. We've added an asset share portal, so you can choose which assets to share with people outside Struct, and you can control who can see them and for how long. We've also introduced asset hotspots, which we showed in the webinar earlier this year, that lets you set up hotspots directly on images in your media archive. So Simon, I've been talking quite a lot. What do you say? Should we take a look at some of these in actions? Are you ready with the demo?
Oh, yes, I think so. We have a tradition of always showing things, so I think we should do that. Don't you think so, Pierre?
Yeah, let's do that.
Great. So I will jump into Struct PIM here, which to some of you probably seems familiar. And I'll go through some of the new things that Pierre has mentioned here to let you actually see how it works and looks in real life and just not just in a PowerPoint. So the first thing I'd like to show you is the App Store. How does that look and what does it mean? If you see here, this Struct PIM right here has a few extra things that would not normally be there. We have the Shopify connector admin and we have the ETIM connector. And that's because I've installed 2 apps into this specific Struct PIM here. When I go into my settings, I've got a new menu point here called apps. And in here, I can actually see the apps that is installed into this Struct PIM right here. I can go into the App Store and look at other apps that might be available. Currently, these are the 2 ones we have, but we're working with technology partners and other partners to extend the community around that and make sure we get more apps in there that can solve different purposes. What an app does is it allows us to extend the functionality of Struct PIM. So for example, here, if we look at the ETIM connector, this shows the different places where we can actually extend Struct PIM with an app. So we can build a custom page here, which is what we see up here. We can also add a new widget that will be available on our dashboard. So we can add tabs and sections that will be shown on our products, or custom exporters or actions we can use in our searches, all sorts of things. So what apps really allow us to do is actually to extend the UI that comes with Struct PIM. So you can get a native feel within Struct PIM, but actually working with data that sits outside of Struct PIM. So that's really powerful, and we already see a lot of different use cases for this here. Now, talking about apps, I think it makes sense to probably show you the ETIM connector app, because for those who might be interested in ETIM, they can see how that actually works, and the rest of you can see what an app actually looks like. So now I'm in the ETIM connector app here, and what you'll see is that it looks like Struct PIM, even though it's an app that's actually run outside of Struct PIM. What this allows me to do is to go in and browse the ETIM category structure. So ETIM defines a range of categories in here. So I can go in and have a look at different categories in an ETIM structure. I can select some of them. Once I've selected some ETIM categories here that I want to work with in my Struct PIM, I can go to my dashboard here, and then I can start to sync them into my Struct PIM. And you can see here that I've already synced 2 ETIM classifications within the ETIM 9 structure. And what that does is that it actually synchronizes the ETIM structure into Struct PIM. So we get a catalog called ETIM 9 here, and then we get the different categories that is selected from ETIM here as categories in Struct PIM. And we also get the different attributes that exist within ETIM to be represented in Struct PIM, so we can start actually managing our product data in full compatibility with ETIM and the ETIM standard here. So for those that has something of a similar requirement, this is something that would really help in working with ETIM. And this is just to show an example on how the App Store can be used to actually extend the Struct PIM with some behavior that's very specific to some areas, but not relevant to other areas. We can add apps for actually solving those kinds of needs. Another thing I'd like to show you, which we've added recently, is what we call the AI data extractor, which Per also mentioned. So what it actually does is that we've built an engine to extract data from unstructured data sources, like online or PDF or whatever, and then from there actually map it into a Struct PIM model. So an example of this, that could be here. I have a Samsung TV here, which doesn't have a lot of information. So I can go and actually extract data here. I've set up different data extractors to tell the data extraction tool how to actually extract data and what kind of data we're looking for. So for this one here, we'd say, okay, probably want to find some specifications for this product right here. And we'll go and have a look at what it can find in, this is online that it's searching. And we see here that it finds out that, okay, it has Bluetooth, this is a Bluetooth version and so forth. What you'll also see here is that it actually shows where has it found this information and how sure is it that this information is correct here. So this is one example where you see it's actually able to map data it finds online into specific attributes or product structures that we have within Struct PIM here. So we can still define the data in the way that we want to have it, but then we can map that from an external source. Another example on how this actually works intelligently is if we go and have a look here in the ETIM structure. We have a television here that is now placed within the ETIM structure. So this now allows us to actually fill in a lot of ETIM specifications. So if you saw before, I had actually also set up an ETIM data extractor. So this would allow us to actually go and look for data for the ETIM attributes. So if I select this one and then go and have a look at what can we find for the ETIM attributes that we have for this product, it goes and looks at those. And this actually shows how it works intelligently in the mapping from whatever it finds online to actually map it into the structure. We see here that it has found that it was Slate Black plus Eclipse Silver, and it's mapped that into black in our list here. Another example would be to look at something like the resolution here. We see that it's determined that it's a 4K UHD panel resolution. If we look at the information it actually found online, we see that it found that it's this right here. So this maps to be UHD resolution. That's because we're using AI, because AI will then understand that that's the same thing as 4K here, which we have in our list, right? So this is a very powerful tool that allows us to extract data from different sources and actually map that into our structure in Struct PIM. So we can really speed up how fast we can source the data into the structure that we want to have in Struct PIM. Then Per also mentioned the asset sharing portal that we recently added. I just want to show you very quickly how that looks and works. So with Struct PIM 4, we've got this new media archive where we can do all sorts of things and actually work with assets and do different things here. What you can do now as well is that you can select assets here that you want to share with someone outside of the organization, and then you can create a share here. If I can create a share, I can say that I give it a name, a message for the people who actually should have access to this. I can set an expiration date. I can also choose whether the link that is being created here should be publicly available so that everyone can actually see what's on it if they got the link, or I can make it private to say you need to be one of the invited email addresses to actually get access to it. And what that does is that when I created a share, I think I created a few over here, you'll see that it looks like this here. This is a share I've created here. And then it actually looks like this for the user when they get an email and they click the link to go and view the shared assets. So they can download the assets here, either one by one or in bulks here. And when they download, they can select different presets that you've defined that they are able to download with. So this is something new that we've added, and we will keep adding to this feature as well. Now, one of the later things that we added is something we are actually really proud of, and something we believe will make a huge difference to the users that are working in Struct PIM. This has nothing to do with AI or something like that, but it's still something that can really provide a productivity boost for everyday editors in the platform. And what it is the inline edit. So here I'm in the Struct PIM table that we know. We've updated that to support different cases. So for example, if you see here now, I'm hovering a long description here, so I can actually have it shown here so I can see how it looks in real life, so I don't have to sort of just look at this one line here. What I can also do now is that I can switch this one off to allow me to actually pull the columns to be wider than my screen area here. So now I get a horizontal scroll bar here so I can have more information shown. What you'll notice is that when I do the scroll, the primary image and the name, they stick over here. And that's because I've chosen to pin them. So you can pin columns here to make them stay to the left whenever you do the horizontal scroll here, so that you have a full overview of what you're actually doing. And you can always click here to make it fit to the screen. So it sort of stays like this. And now when I do this, it will stay with your screen width in here. So that's just some general updates we've done to the table. And then we've also added the inline edit, which I can enable by pressing this button right here. And what that does is that it allows me to now edit all the information inline here. So for example, if I press this one here and press enter, you'll see it opens up the actual editor. So I can actually change this now to say this is a Siemens product. And then we've done a lot of work and put a lot of work into actually being able to use the keyboard and shortcuts. So if I press tab here, it goes to the next one. You'll see it opens up the long description here that I can start to write it out here. So I can tap between these, and you'll see I get the corresponding editor that actually works with the kind of data that is stored in this field here. So that goes for rich text editors, selects lists from global list like you're seeing here, even image selectors, and also complex attributes and list attributes can be used within this. So all the attribute types that we have are supported through this here. What you can also see is that when I've made a few changes here, it sort of gathers everything down here, so I can see how many changes did I make and what did I change here. What you'll also be able to see is that there's this little green thing in the top left corner here. And if I hover that, I'll see that the previous value was Samsung and the new value is Siemens. And I can choose to undo that if I want to here. What I can also do is that I can mark out, for example, these two and say I want to copy those to here. So I can copy and paste the data between the columns that we have in here as well to make for a very efficient way to move data around in the platform here. While I'm working here, I can still do searches. So I can do search for find everything that's empty, and then I can start to work with that here. What you'll notice here is that this is gray, so I can't change that. And that's because the brand attribute is not part of this specific product. So this product doesn't have a brand specified. So that's why I'm not able to. But it's just important to note that you can also do changes, do searches while you're working. You can also add more columns if you get to a point where, oh, I also need to change the short description. I can just go and add that here, and the changes that you've already made stays there for you. And then once you're done, you can press the save changes and it will save everything for you at once here. So this is something that can really make the editation of products and entities in general in Struct PIM very much more efficient than what it has been before. This works on all the different entities that we have. So it works on products, it works on variants, it works on variant groups, it works on assets, on categories even, and it also works on global lists. So if I go and have a look at, for example, my list of brands, I can also inline edit my brands in my global lists using this feature. So that's also a place where it actually works. If we look at the table here, in general, you'll see that we've changed a few things about the layout, but otherwise it stays the same. So for users who've been used to working with this, it is still the same feeling here. One thing that could also be interesting to see is that if I have a look at, for example, this one, where we probably have a few variants here. Now I'm in a product and I have a list of all the variants for this specific product. Here I can also use the inline editing. So whenever I have the search table that shows me either products or variants, I can do inline editing. Even though I'm not viewing the full set of variants here, I'm just viewing a subset that is actually connected to this specific product here. So we really tried to make it available as many places as possible here. So this is something that we've already got a lot of feedback and a lot of positive feedback, and we really believe that this makes for a huge productivity gain for the users that work a lot in the platform here. So we're very excited about that. Another thing that we just recently added, which Pierre mentioned, is the global search. The global search lives up here. So you can see we've got a new button up here, which is called global search. Again, we've tried to work a lot with the shortcuts. So Control-Shift-F will open up the search, and I can start to write to actually find something. And now we're searching across, as you see here, products, variants, variant groups, and assets. So it finds everything within those different areas that matches my search. So I'm finding a product here, and I can use the mouse to navigate, the keyboard to navigate that, and actually click and go into a product like this here. So this makes for a very fast way to actually go and find something. What I can also do is that I can search within specific things. I can either use the filter here, and you see it puts in this in. So that means if I just write in colon like this, I can select, okay, I actually want to search in the brand global list that I have, and I want to search for Bosch. And then I click that, and it goes to the Bosch value in the brand global list here. And you'll see that I have almost everything that I can find in Struct PIM is available here. So attributes, I can also search because I want to find the brand attribute in my attributes here, and I go to that. So this makes for a very fast way to actually go around the system and find exactly what you need to do with it here by just using the global search and the shortcuts to actually move around in the platform here. So this is also something that we've recently added, which we actually believe makes for a lot of improvement in the way that you can navigate and move fast around in the platform and doing your everyday stuff in here. So that's sort of all the things that I wanted to show you. There were the asset hotspots, as Pierre mentioned as well, but we showed that the last time, so I think we will skip that for today. Also, the Shopify connector is a story in itself. So for those who might be interested in learning more about that, reach out to us. I won't go through it here today, what it can do and how it actually looks. So Pierre, that's what I had to show just for now.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. I think that's those are some really nice new functionalities there. I think my personal favorite is probably the grid edit. I've been using it quite a lot when I do proof of concepts, and it truly is a game changer when you have to edit a lot of products at the same time. So that's I know that's my favorite. Do you have a favorite as well, or have I just taken it?
You've just taken it. It really is. We're quite proud of that one. But I have to say also the global search, I've been working a bit now in the platform, and I see myself using the global search more and more when I start to sort of put that into my habits.
Yeah. We have a couple of comments here. We actually have one from Jakob Hus, who writes, as an LFC fan, I think I'm leaving the webinar. And Jakob, please stay in the webinar. I think we can still be friends, even though you might be rooting for a different team than our CTO. We also have a question from Daniel, who is from Sweden here, and he writes, when is Denmark's next World Cup? And I don't think we will be commenting on that. But everyone, remember, please, if you have questions that are not offensive, you can feel free to write them in the chat, and we will, of course, reply to those. Of course, we've just seen what we have shipped so far, but we also have some things that are coming up that are almost ready to ship. So later this month, we're going to be releasing a new set of AI capabilities inside of Struct PIM, and they're focused largely on product images. And all of that can be done natively within the platform. You don't have to leave the system to use another tool. And there are three that I want to highlight. First off, image manipulation. You can work directly on your product images with AI. You can show a product image on a model. You can change the background, adapt an image to fit specific channels, remove backgrounds and more. And all of that is done right on the product images inside the media archive in Struct PIM. We also have scene generation, where you have products that might not have backgrounds, and you can then generate scenes around them. So if from a single image, you can create an entire campaign with consistent on-brand backgrounds and settings. And finally, video generation. If you have stills of a product, you can turn them into a product video. You can take that t-shirt we mentioned earlier and put it on a model and have that model walk down a catwalk. So that kind of thing is what video generation makes possible. The challenge with introducing all of these new AI tools is that the more AI we build into Struct PIM, the more moving parts there are, and the more separate subscriptions you end up needing. So we already have text generation, language translation, data extraction, and so on. And we'll be adding image capabilities soon as well. And up until today, each of these comes with their own subscription, their own billing, and their own API keys. So the more AI we adopt, the more setup is going to be required. And that adds a lot of friction that stands between you and actually working with your data. So we think there's a much simpler way of working with this. And that's why we're going to be introducing a new concept into PIM, into Struct PIM, which is called Struct Credits. So let's try and put this into a context here. In Struct PIM 3, the AI assistant was a paid add-on. In Struct PIM 4, that's already gone. The AI assistant is included for everyone, but you still have to bring your own AI, your own agreements with OpenAI, DeepL, and so on, and your own API keys to configure, and you'll have a separate billing for each license, which means that tracking your AI costs, you have to do that across several places. With Struct Credits, everything is going to be included. Every AI capability built into Struct PIM is available to everyone with a Struct PIM license, and it works from day one. There's no setup, there's no separate subscription. You get a single credit pool across all these AI features, so you can easily monitor your total AI spend within Struct PIM. I know some are already using the AI assistant with your own agreements and models, and that option does not go away. If you'd rather keep using your own licenses, you can do that. You simply don't use the credit system. That choice is up to you. So to sum it up, all of your Struct PIM AI capabilities in one credit pool with no new subscriptions to manage. So what does that mean for you? How do you get started with this? Well, first off, as I said, there's nothing to install. The new AI capabilities roll out to every Struct PIM environment later this month, and new AI features are coming in the future, and they will work as soon as we release them. Second of all, it's included in your agreement. You'll have a credit pool that all AI features can draw from. There are no new contracts, no new API keys to configure. You can just start working and use whatever AI capabilities that help you the most. So everything works out of the box. And as I said, if you have your own agreements, you can keep using them, or you can disable them and switch to Struct Credits. So that's completely up to you. And of course, if you have any questions about your plan, what this means for you specifically, please reach out to us at any time. We are happy to help you get started. So Simon, why don't you show us some of these new AI capabilities that we're going to be rolling out later this month?
Yes, I'd very much like to do that, Per. So I think let's jump into the demo again, so we can see what it actually is that we are going to ship. So first off, as Pierre mentioned, the Struct Credits is the way that we've sort of encapsulate the ability to actually work with everything that we will add now and in the future without having to have a lot of different subscriptions to different AI services. And that will live up here. So if I go into my settings, you will have an AI studio, where you can set up providers if you want to bring your own, or you can see the usage and insights of the Struct Credits that you have. So you will have a pool of credits which you can configure how much will your monthly spend max be, so you can control that and make sure you don't spend more than what you want to spend. And then you have a full overview of how many credits have you spent within each day, what have you spent them on, is it image processing, data extraction, translation, or whatnot here. You can also see which users are actually spending the money on doing AI stuff in the platform here. So we'll make sure that you can control the spend here a lot, so it doesn't just run off with you. In terms of the new AI capabilities with media, we'll go into the media archive here, and we will have a look. You see I prepared this one right here. And I'm sorry for the Arsenal t-shirt. I hope you'll stay with us still. And if there are others here who feel offended by the Arsenal t-shirt, please look away from it. I usually do the demo with the Arsenal shirt, but I'll do another one today then.
We'll keep everyone happy that way.
Yeah, we'll try to do that. So we'll go with this one instead. Here, so what you'll see is that we have got a new button out here called Image Studio. When I open this one up, I'm able to actually work with this asset here with the AI capabilities that Struct PIM now will provide for you. So first off is working with the background. So you can remove the background here to say, I want to just have a transparent background, or you can set a color or an AI generated background here. So this would be available. So if I do that and then press generate, it will remove the background for this specific image. And you see up here to the left, it actually provides me with the different versions of this dashboard, or of the t-shirt right here. So I can keep working on it. So now I could go and say, okay, so this version, now I've removed the background. I actually want to change the color to be red. I think we both Liverpool fans and us can agree that that's a good color. So we can make editations on the edit one version here and start to iterate with the actual asset until we are where we want to be, and then save that either as a new version of the existing asset or as a completely new asset that we have in here. So this actually works really well in terms of removing backgrounds and do stuff like that. You could also do scene generation. So for example, if we had this one right here, where we say we'd like to actually generate a scene to make this a bit more sexy to look at. So I'll go and actually remove the background, and instead of just having a transparent background, I'd like to have an AI generated background here. So I'd like to show the bottle in the sand of a beach here. And then we will do that. So now it actually works to generate a scene for us where it removes the white background and then adds another one. And then I can iterate with it if I want to have it expanded to be wider or whatever I want to do, be more specific. Now, this was very unspecific what I did here, but I could be much more specific to actually control exactly the output that I wanted to have here. So this is also something that will be available for us. Another thing that is interesting to look at is improving the quality of a product. If you see this image right here, that's not very good quality. So what we can do here is that we can go and say, okay, I want to remove the background first off, but then I also want to upscale it here to make it a higher resolution than what we have. So now the AI will work in actually removing the white background while also improving the quality of the image here. So hopefully you'll see in just a second here that the result that we will get from this is much sharper. So here it's remove the background and it sort of made it much sharper. So if we compare to the original one, you'll see that it looks a lot better here to actually use on the different channels that you might want to use this picture for. So that's also something that's going to be available here. Then if we go back to our t-shirt, which we had before here, we can also go and actually work to create model photos of this. So if I go here and say, I actually want to create a virtual model with this specific t-shirt right here, I can go in and say, I'll enable this action. I can select a pose. I can just a random one. The system will pick one for you, or like a 3/4 turn. And then I can select, I can write something if I wanted to have in a specific casual outdoor setting, for example, as it outdoor setting here. And then I can also select a model image. So if you have some models which are actually the ones you want to use for this, I can go in and select them. So say I want to use Avery here as the model for this shirt. Then I can go and select her and then generate the image. What it will do is that it will create a model image using your model here to actually build an image that shows this specific item on that person here. So you can build these model images. And you see here the result. And we have done a lot of testing of this. And we actually believe that the quality of the output is very good if you compare this to the t-shirt here and then how it looks on the actual person here. It looks really well. And of course, here you can start to work with it. So if you say, okay, I want her to be dark haired, or I want her to wear another kind of pants or whatever, I could do that. I could also save this image and then use this as the basis for building another image where I'm using some trousers that we have to actually put on her with the same t-shirt here. So you can sort of build the look with this right here. What you can also do once you have this right here is you can start to actually generate a video. So if you want to have Avery here just walking in the park here with this t-shirt, you can go and enable video and you can describe the scene that you want to have. If you have more images, for example, say that we have images of the t-shirt from the back and from the side and so forth, we could add those here. Then I can select the aspect ratio if I want it in a horizontal or vertical look, or just square. I can do that. I can select between short and long, and short will be 5 seconds, while long will be 10-second videos. And once I've set that up, I can just select to generate the video. Now, generating a video takes a bit more time. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds, so I won't do that here, but I will show you a few examples of what that actually gives. So you see that I saved one here where she looks like this. This is Avery as well. And then I use that as the basis for creating this video right here using the video feature that you just saw. And this is how it looks. So we see her walking in the same settings that the actual image was taken in. And that's just one example of a short one. Another one could be this one right here, where you will see him walk towards the camera here from the basic image. And again, here we're seeing very good results for this, and you can control it very much. You saw this video where he actually walks out of the frame. So I created another one, which was a bit longer, where I said the camera should keep moving backwards, so we stay with the same sort of frame for the person in here. So that also works really well here. So this is also something that's going to be available once we release this later this month. Another example could be looking at something like jewelry. So if you're not working with just clothing, this can still be relevant here. You're seeing an example of a photo of jewelry with a on the hand, and then we create a video where it just moves close to the jewelry to give a feel for it. So there are lots of different options for working with this to generate scenes and videos and manipulate your images into the kind of scenes and sort of look and feel you want to have and use in your channels here. So this is something, as you see, it's working here, where we have all the AI up and running behind the scenes here. So this is something we will be releasing later this month, so that it will actually be available for you guys to start working with what I've shown you right here.
That's great. We do have a lot of questions here coming up, so let's try and go through some of these while we are talking about AI and so on. The first question is actually from Thijs. In regards to the app store, he asks what are the expected use cases for the app section, and then he also asks if we have any documentation on how to create them and how to make them look and feel like Struct PIM native apps.
Yes. So the use cases can be a variety of things. What we say is that when you build public apps, which will be available to everyone to install, we will have a review of those. So we make sure the quality of those apps are up to standards. And also public apps will have to be apps that actually solve somewhat of a business problem. So it can't be something that is very, very niche to some specific client here. So it could be connectors to different platforms that will typically be public apps in here. Private apps and custom apps is where you can actually do pretty much what you want. So that's where if you are a client or you are a partner who needs to solve a very specific need for this specific case, you can build pretty much whatever you want. So in that sense, the use case can be pretty much anything here. And in terms of documentation, at the docs.struct.com, we do provide documentation and also a little sample project for a custom app that you can use or getting started with actually building apps for Struct PIM. It also documents that we have a UI library that you can install, which will give you many of the same flavors to make it look native to Struct PIM. We'll keep evolving this. We're also looking into how can we provide design guidelines that can be used. So if you're working with AI, Claude or Codex or other tools, where you can actually provide that with a design guideline provided by Struct, so you can tell your AI to build it to follow that design to get a native feel for the system here.
Thank you. We have a question from Rune, who is asking, can you upload PSD files to the asset manager and export to Shopify with specific color background? So I think specifically, does it support PSD files in the image studio here?
Yes, we can upload a PSD file. So that's something that we can store in the media library itself here. Doing the manipulation with the actual PSD files, we'll have to convert it into something like a PNG before that. And that's something the platform will do, and then it will work to do the image manipulation on that PNG that's created from the PSD.
Great. A question from Emil here. Have you thought about making a guide for shortcuts? It could be very useful. Of course, when you hover over a specific element in Struct PIM, you will be able to see the shortcut. But of course, having a documentation is a good idea. We'll talk to the support department about that.
Yeah, I think that we'll actually try to build that into the platform. So you will have a way of, instead of having to go to the documentation, but actually just activating it somewhere to see what's the shortcuts I can do here.
Yeah. A question from Patrick. What translation mode tools are you using? At the moment, it's Microsoft Azure Translation Services and it's DeepL that we support. But of course, as time goes on, we will look into other tools as well.
And if you're working with the native part of Struct, where we just provide translation out of the box, where you don't have to sort of make that decision yourself, that's DeepL that we are using behind the scenes for translation here. Yeah. So we've sort of had the feedback that we've got from clients who work with the different tools is that DeepL outperforms the Azure translator by far. So when we have the Struct AI and when we sort of let you use Struct AI in the platform and using the credits, we've sort of made a choice on what are the models, what are the different AI services that we use to actually provide this within the system. And here we will go for the very best ones to give the best possible results.
Yes. We have a question from Thomas Eriksen as well. He writes, nice to see that you are consistently working with a uniform UI and functional experience across entire Struct. Thank you for that. He asks, will there be an opportunity in the near future to work with entities in global lists on par with products, for example, dimensions, business rules, and so on?
Business rules is something we're talking a lot about, enabling for the global lists so that you can work with them as well there. The dimensions, we've also had a discussion here in the platform team about if we should allow that. So that is something that is being discussed currently. I can't make any promises because it opens up a lot of complexities if you add a global list which is dimensioned on one dimension but you're using it on a reference which is dimensioned on another one, and we will need to make some restrictions on what you can do there. But definitely it's something that we've seen use cases where it makes sense, so it is something we're considering.
A question from Elias: how is the value of credits directly from the supplier versus value of credits using Struct? Is the value the same one for one, or is there a difference?
There will be a difference between that. We have some agreements with some different suppliers where the cost that we have is somewhat dependent on the usage that we have across our tenants. So it is not a one-to-one here. And also we are changing the models continuously behind the scenes here. But we'll try to make it as transparent as possible for you guys, so you know, doing a removal of background of an image is this cost. Doing a data extraction is usually just around this cost here, so that you will actually be able to see the cost here, and then from there estimate whether does it provide the value that you want from this specific feature.
A question from Emil here: can I set up our own models through OpenRouter?
Not sure. I'll have to look into that. If you can do that, I'm not sure that we can support that right now. But if that's something, reach out to us and we'll have a look.
Yeah. A question from Malene, which I think also speaks a little bit into what you're going to be talking about later. Is it possible to bulk update media EE if I wanted to remove the background for many images? And we'll talk about that a little bit later.
But that's I can understand that question because that makes a lot of sense. And we'll get to that in just a moment.
Yeah. Another question here from Saskia: how good is the AI generation in maintaining the fidelity, integrity of the product itself?
So that's actually, from the tests that we've done, that's really good. And also, we're not using general purpose image manipulation software behind the scenes. We're using specific tailored models that are trained towards keeping fidelity on the product and not making changes to it. I think everyone has experience using the general purpose AI data image manipulation tools and seeing that it's very difficult to maintain the actual features and fidelity of the original image here. But with this specifically designed models, we see very good results in keeping the fidelity and not making changes to the actual images.
Great. We have a question from Malene here, which is in Danish. I'll try to paraphrase a little bit. This is in relation to new AI laws and regulations from the EU that you have to mark which images that you're using.
Yeah.
And the question is, how do we work with that in the PIM? How do we secure that is saved on products?
Yeah. So if I were to go and open this one up and do an AI manipulation of this image and then press I want to save this one, what we will do is that we store metadata on that new image with information that this is AI generated. So it is provided with the image. So in the different channels where you are showing this image, whether it's on your website or not, you can read that metadata that sort of goes with the product, with the image, and then show a notification, however you want to do it, that this is AI generated content.
Yes. And the final question here from Mads: if going with Struct Credit, which AI model do you base image and video generation on? Do you have examples of token cost, real cost on working with the assets like you just demonstrated?
Yes, we have. So working with assets, so we're working with something specific trained models for e-commerce to actually work with building assets that are tailored towards e-commerce, working with products here. I can't disclose the exact model that changes as well all the time, but we can provide exact prices of what it is. So when you're used to working with AI, it's very much about tokens. So that's also what it is when you're doing data extraction and you're doing text generation and so forth. So that's more difficult to say what's the actual cost, because it depends on the number of tokens that you're using. Whereas when you're looking at an image like this, doing a remove background or an image manipulation here, that is 0.15 euros per image manipulation here, and a video is let me just see, that's just about €1 to build a long video here. Yeah. But we will have the exact numbers, and once we release this, you will be notified, so you can see the actual cost before actually doing it. So you can do the calculations, and that's a good thing about the images. It's a specific price, so it doesn't depend on the size of the image or how many of these you do in one go. It is simply one transformation is 0.15 euros to do that. So the math becomes easy for that one.
Okay, just a couple of extra questions here. Can we limit the AI usage, or can the AI usage limits be adjusted after the maximum limit has been reached? are they fixed each month? Is it possible to increase or decrease the allocated usage for different months?
Yes. So that's completely in your control. So you can just set up a limit, say this is the max we'll use. If you reach that limit, you can say, okay, we need to use more this month. You'll just change the quota or the limit, and then the next month you can lower it again if you want to. And of course, we will only bill you for your usage. So even if you sort of set a high limit and you only use half or 1/3 or even less of that, that's the invoice you'll get. You won't get for more. So it's a matter of you being able to control the spend that you actually have. And you can, of course, change that as you go.
Okay, so that was the last of the questions. Simon, I think it might be time to actually take a look at some of these new things that you are cooking up together with platform team here in the next couple of months. So can you enlighten us on those?
Yes, I can. We're working a lot with the AI, and this move from being a PIM system into what we call product intelligence, enabling the platform to work more autonomously with you using AI. So that's something we are focusing a lot on in the platform team currently. And some of the concrete features that will come out of that within this year is the things that you're seeing here. We will provide image analysis, which allows us to actually go in and analyze an image to find out, are there people in this image? Is there something specific? Is this an image of a t-shirt? And all other kinds of things. Make a description of the image that I can use as an alternate text. All those kinds of things will be available. Then we're looking into building data governance analysis, so you can build different data governance rules that you define, which you want the system to continuously look for if we are breaching those rules in here to actually do that. Then automatic catalog classifications, classifying your products in the category structure that you have, but also proposing new ones if you don't have anything that fits. That's also something that we're looking into. And then the relationships and linking between related products, being able to do that. And then lastly, adding an MCP server to allow you to work with your products or your Struct PIM from your own AI tools as well. That's also something that we are working on. And where is this heading? So what we are trying to build is to build up a lot of AI capabilities that you can orchestrate within the platform. So now I showed you how you can go into an image, you can do image manipulation using this powerful AI features. But that doesn't work at scale if I have to go in and do it one by one by one. So what we'll work on as well is that we will encapsulate a concept that we call agents into the platform, where you can configure different agents that does different things, where you can sort of work with these different AI capabilities to build up agents that does specific things. Then when we connect that to the business rule engine that we already have, then we can sort of deploy those agents whenever it makes sense. So you can build on an agent that removes the background and adds the style that you want to have for your images. And then you can add an agent that analyzes the image to find out if this is a t-shirt. Then you can build business rules, which first runs the analysis to find out if this is a t-shirt. And when it finds out it's a t-shirt, then you trigger the other agent, which does the transformation that you made that you want to do for t-shirts in your platform. So you can build up completely autonomous but intelligent flows where you're in control of when does the agent do something with the business rule, but then the agents are very intelligent in actually performing these tasks for you here. So that's sort of where we're trying to move this into, so it can really act on its own, but with your rules around it. And of course, as I mentioned, we'll also add the MCP server, which will allow you to actually work with Struct PIM from different tools like Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever is your favorite tool for that. So if we look at where this is actually heading, just a few examples here to sort of try and give you an idea on what will be possible once this is released later this year. So if we imagine having a new t-shirt created in the platform with just a Hugo Boss t-shirt and we have a SKU for it, that's pretty much what we've got. Then you saw the data extraction tool right now, which we can then use to find and curate the actual information for that specific Hugo Boss. So it will find an image for it, it will find the specifications for it, and actually add that in here. Once that's there, then you can have agents configured to actually go and create image variations, as we saw on the platform before, but automatically now. So we create the scene where she's walking in the park, and then it also creates the video where she's actually doing the walking in the park. Then you could have a data governance agent, which actually goes in and verifies the consistency. We already have a lot of governance tools in the platform in terms of enrichment insights and business rules to make very deterministic governed rules. But then you can also use a data governance agent to actually do more semantic governing of your data to make sure that it works as you want. And once it verifies the quality of it, it will be up to you to actually review and approve how does this product look before we release it out to our channels in the platform. So this is just to show where this can actually lead, what is the potential of this being actually able to just create a product and then the platform works for you until you have a product that you just need to review and sort of make sure that it lives up to the standards that you want to have, but you get help along the way. Another example, this makes a lot of sense for retailers who are selling products that are available to others. So this makes a lot of sense for those cases. Then you could also have cases where you are actually the provider or the manufacturer of a product. And in that case, you are providing this. It won't make a lot of sense to actually go and have a look if we can find the images online because you are the provider of those. But in those cases, you could still have the agent flow work a lot for you to, for example, do as we are stating here. You have a product that you are building, you are enriching, you're making it ready to go to market. And then you have a governance agent that you've set up to actually monitor whether you are living up to the governance that you have. So, for example, if you're in the food industry, have a look if we are promising something that is not wrong, something that can be extremely difficult to just set up deterministic rules to do. And as we've just shown a few examples here, for example, so it says that this product is vegan, but in the ingredients, it states that it contains milk powder, or it says that it's gluten-free, but we don't have a certification for it, or it says that it's 250 calories, but in the PDF that's associated, it says 320 calories. So there's a discrepancy there. So these are just examples on how you could use the data governance agent to do more intelligent governance on your data here. And then it works continuously to give you this information so you can then review and update your information. And then it runs again and it gives an all clear for you here. So you can then decide what happens next once that's you. So this is just to show you where does this lead. And we actually believe that this is extremely powerful and it's extremely exciting to see the use cases that can actually be enabled by providing this framework that we will do here later this year. Lastly, the MCP server, for those of you who don't know what that is, it stands for Model Context Protocol. And what that is that actually providing a standard way for Struct PIM to talk to tools like Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini. What's more interesting is what does it enable? And what it does enable are things like you're seeing here. So you would be able to sit in Claude, connect to Struct PIM via the MCP, and then you can start to talk to the data in Struct PIM, which products are missing images, and it will show you that. Or even if you allow it, you'll be able to set up the permissions on what can you do through this interface. But if you're allowed to actually create new variants, you could do something like add a blue variant of the crew T here. And with the Gemini, how complete is the Spring catalog? These are just examples to sort of give you a feel for being able to, in natural language, talk to the data that you have in Struct PIM, and then actually use that for your processes. So that's just the things and we are working on with the platform. We're very excited about it, and we really look forward to shipping some of these things. We think, yeah, we're looking forward to it a lot. I can't hide that.
Yeah. A couple of questions here, of course. First off, the $1 million question from Malene here. When are you expecting to release these new features later this year?
Yeah. They will be dropping in. So it won't be a big release where we release everything. They will be dropping in continuously from after the summer holidays here. The first ones will already be there. And then consecutively over the year, we will provide them. We don't have specific release dates for these other than we've stated that we want to do this within this year. And the reason for that is that we want to make sure that the quality of the AI that we release is up to the standards that we want to have before we actually release it. And that's why it makes it a bit difficult to provide a specific date here. But know that we will start to release some of these features already after the summer holidays.
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of a technical question here from Daniel also. Can you please add identifiers to assets similar to how it works with products so that it's easier to find assets programmatically?
That's noted. Daniel, send that into the to the help desk, and I'm sure that they will come and pump me about it.
All right, so let's just quickly sum up what we've covered today. Available now, you have the App Store, global search, inline editing. We've added new AI capabilities in the form of data extraction alongside the translation and text generation that we already had. We've added the Asset Share Portal, Asset Hotspot, and ETIM and Shopify connectors. And as we said, later this month, we'll be adding the new AI image capabilities, image manipulation, scene generation, and video generation. And these go live at the same time as we introduce Struct Credits, so you can simply pay as you go for your AI usage. Looking further out later this year, we'll introduce even more. We'll add image analysis along with classification and linking of product categories. We'll introduce data governance and data analysis tools to help you understand your data more deeply. And we'll bring in AI agents connected to the business rule system so you can automate how those agents are used. We'll also open up the PIM to external AI tools using the MCP. So we do have quite a lot of interesting things on the way here. A last question here from Elias. Very interesting changes. Should we expect all AI features are included in all Struct plans?
Yes, you should.
That's good. All right, so I think it's time to wrap up. What excites us the most is figuring out where AI can generally take work off your hands. So the real goal behind everything that we're doing here today. So reach out to us if there's anything specific you're interested in having AI work at. And of course, we'd love for you to join us on future webinars. We have some planned in the future where we will dive into each of these subjects in much more detail. So keep an eye out on our events page for what's coming up next. And I think that's it for today. So thank you very much for joining us, and we speak to you again soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.